I'm Bernardin, Editor-in-Chief of Developmental Medicine and Child Neurology. I recently wrote an editorial on artificial intelligence and cerebral palsy. And today I'm very lucky to be having a conversation with my friend and colleague Hugues Bersini from my university. He teaches about artificial intelligence and is world-renowned in the domain. Hello, Hugues.
Hello.
We often hear about artificial intelligence, but it can have different meanings. How would you define it?
It's a 70 years old discipline because the first conference in AI was in the 50s. Basically, the definition of AI hasn't changed. It was the idea of substituting or imitating human cognitive abilities by means of software or robots. And most of those cognitive abilities, like reasoning, like perceiving, even like moving in an environment, like playing game, like mastering language, translating, most of those facets, were target for artificial intelligence. So you try to build software which can do as well, as a human being.
In medicine, we increasingly speak about advances achieved thanks to artificial intelligence. So one area is obviously diagnosis.
Yeah. One of the reasons why there's been a hype in artificial intelligence these last 5 or 6 years is due to some software called, for instance, deep learning one, which have made incredible progress in image recognition. And it's important to understand that we were very good back in the 80s and 90s, but we were not as good as humans. So, for instance, there is a classical test where you try to distinguish between cats and dogs in pictures. And for many years, humans were better. Some of the images are very easy to distinguish. Some of the images are a little bit more complex, and you hesitate about cats and dogs. It seems that software these days are better in order to recognize if it is a cat and a dog. And why I'm telling you this story is because before we were doing 1 or 2% less than human being. Right now, with those new type of software, we're doing 1 or 2% better than a human being. So for cat and dog, this is not so much important. But if you think about diagnosing a cancer in an image, like a radiotherapy, etc., this 1% makes a huge difference because now we're 1% better than a radiotherapist in order to diagnose a cancer. And that is the moment where a software will be more reliable than a human being for making that kind of diagnosis. So it changed a lot. Yeah.
Now, in child neurology, there's a whole lot of complexity, and so it might make the demand particularly difficult. But do you think we can get there? We can solve a lot of the complexity, say, in the motor behavior of children?
No, I believe that most of what the software can do well these days is really circumscribed, very limited. So we have very good software for instance, image processing, but just image, So most of the researchers in AI are building very specialized software for very specialized tasks, but they don't have a complete understanding of what's going on. I remember reading a book in the 80s by philosophers telling that one of the problems with softwares in AI is they're not in the world, they're not interacting with the world. They're just interacting with a very limited perception of the world. We shouldn't be worried about a very specialized software for a very specialized task. Most of the human tasks are much more complex, so software are very far away from doing those things.
Now, as far as treatment or management is concerned, artificial intelligence is getting better in the way of personalized medicine. Mm-hmm. But I suppose the game, again, is very complex when we talk about disability, which is multidimensional.
Yeah. Well, again, this multidisciplinarity will escape artificial intelligence. For instance, I'm developing medical software for detecting arrhythmia in cardiology. I'm developing software for doing genomic analysis based on microarrays or genomic sequence, try to anticipate some kind of cancer, etc. But this is very specialized. Whenever you have a disease which is, as you were saying, multifactorial with a lot of elements, software are very far away. Well, we can combine software. We can try software specialized in very different disciplines, but you still need a human being for making this combination, because no software today has this meta vision and is able to combine those different specialities in one. You still need a lot of human being for doing that.
Do you see a danger for perhaps losing the human factor in relationships in medicine, in management?
I think those software are totally missing what makes us human. They don't have any soft skill, they don't have any empathic quality. When you have a software able to translate a French sentence in an English sentence, I can tell you that the software has no clue of the meaning of a sentence. It's just a kind of a parrot, which is imitating what human beings have done in the past. So there's no intelligence in that. So don't be afraid. Software are very far from being able to substitute human, and mainly in this empathic, emotional, soft skills abilities. Yeah.
So it remains our responsibility to decide what relevance is. And when I say our responsibility, it's not only professionals, but of course, primarily the users, the children, the families. Is that how you view it?
We should understand what those softwares are able to do, and we should understand how to use them at the best. I think the social welfare, the public good are still very important things, and the software can help us a lot. They can help a lot for the education, they can help a lot for reducing stress in our life. They are better for dealing a certain kind of complexity. So we should use them, but we should fix the objective of this usage. For instance, it's not the software which is going to decide about what is welfare. We have to decide about that. And the software will just execute our objective, but it will execute them in a more efficient way.
Excellent. Well, this is very useful, Hugues. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's my pleasure.